Hello, winners. How's everybody out there in cyberspace? This is Brenda Underwood, Coach BU, coming to you live today to talk about I want to quit my job. And as a person who has quit their job, what were the biggest mistakes that I made as a brand spanking new entrepreneur? When I started to write out the notes on this particular live, I thought to myself, okay, wow, there's a lot. I may have to break this up into two. Okay. And so, whenever, first, let me speak to all the people who are critics of other people out in the social media world. We hear all these different things about how, you only see online people's, the highlights of their life. You don't see the downside. People are fake on, in this cyber space. They fake, they lie, they this, they that. Well, you know what? Let's be honest, y'all. People was faking, lying, and perpetrating a fraud before social media came along. So why do we blame social media? Because people aren't transparent there. So this is me debunking that whole situation and being real and honest and transparent and vulnerable and showing what it was like when I was a budding entrepreneur. Now, mind you, keep in mind that what I'm going to discuss, this stuff happened years ago. I started my business in 2013, and that's when I got my business license. That's when I got legal to tender business in the state of Georgia. Now, I kept my job for 3 years because I was scared. No other reason. Fear stole 3 years from me because I was scared. I didn't want to leave what I thought was security in an organization and security in a job to go for something that was unknown and unpredictable. And so fear literally stole 3 years from me. I should have quit my job in August of 2013, but I didn't. So I worked my job for 3 years until I got to the place of where my business was making so much money, it was beginning to, I was either going to have to give up the job, or I was going to have to focus full time on the business, or give up the business and stay full time on the job. And so when we talk about workplace exit strategies, the reason why I'm doing these lives, the reason why I'm about to pour out my guts and show all my vulnerabilities, mistakes, and things that I did wrong when I started is so that somebody else doesn't have to do that. So I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I grew up in a family of five. I am the only child of my mother and my father, but I have four half siblings. So I have two sisters and two brothers through my mother, but they all have different fathers. And so I'm the baby of the five. One thing I did as a baby was I learned that when my mom whipped my brothers for not doing the dishes and not doing their chores, I learned that when I got to the age of doing my chores, if I don't want to get beat with a broom, then I guess I better do my dishes. Okay. So this is what this is. This is about you learning from the mistakes of someone else so that when you do your business, you can hit the ground running. So I already gave you one thing. My biggest mistake was letting fear dictate my actions. And so I'm not going to say any more about that because I talk about deflating fear, crushing fear all the time. Go watch some of my other lives. I'm always talking about get rid of fear. Fear literally cost me 3 years in my business. My business is 3 years behind where it should be because I let fear dictate my actions instead of letting fear be be a spectator to my actions. And so fear cost me 3 years. So I spent 3 years working my business, refining my business while I still had a full-time job. So now the beauty of a workplace exit strategy is if you start your business while you're still employed, then what happens is you have income coming in while you still have a job, and you can take 100% of your income and throw it into your business. Or what I did was I took a good 80% of the income I was getting from the business on the side and throwing it towards the debt. I threw it at all my credit card debt, my car debt, everything. Because I had additional stream of income, I could knock out debt. Because when I transitioned from having a corporate paycheck where I knew exactly how much I was going to make every week to the fluctuation of entrepreneurship, I wasn't going to panicked financially. Now, I want you guys to hear me. I'm going to share a lot of stuff, and I don't even know how long this live is going to be. I may have to break it up into 3 parts, but you're looking at a single mother of 25 years. I left my son's father when my son was 2 months old. Okay. And my son's father never paid child support. I never asked him to. We were both addicts, and we were both struggling with our addiction, and I was trying to get out of my addiction. And so, with that being said, I didn't put another burden on my son's father that I knew he couldn't bear. He was doing a good enough job just staying alive. And so why am I going to send him to court and put him in jail for child support? I just didn't do it. Now, I'm not knocking women who do. Don't get me wrong. I am not. Look, hear me. I am not knocking women who do. I just want you to understand the state of mind I was in when I quit my corporate job. Okay. So I left my son's father when when my son was 2 months old. I have raised my child with no alimony, no child support, and no financial support from anyone outside of my aunt and my oldest brother. They did give me a little bit of financial support, not even in the thousands, more in the hundreds. Okay. So 25 years I've been a single mother, 25 years, or minus 7, I've worked in corporate. Okay. And so I've done things like director of staff development, director of business development. So I worked in marketing, sales, and staff development. Okay. And so when you think about leaving a lucrative income, those beautiful golden handcuffs of great pay, good benefits, but it may be a toxic work environment. You may be working for a crazy boss. You may have some, unrealistic expectations put on you. And so you're to the point where you're frustrated and you're ready to get out. That's not when you quit. That's when you plan. That's when you plow. That's when you get your intangibles out of the way, so that for me, when I transitioned from my job in 2016 to full-time in my entrepreneurship, I went from a paycheck to a profit check. Breakthrough for Life has been profitable since day one. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that we haven't had unprofitable months. We have. That anybody who tells you, oh, my business have been balling since the beginning, they lying. Go do your research on the number of businesses that don't even turn a profit. So much so that the IRS says if your business doesn't turn a profit in 5 years, they're going to make your business a hobby and you can no longer write off everything. Okay. And so profitability is a part of business. If you're not profitable, why are you in business? Well, Brenda, I just want to do a ministry. Okay, then do a 501c3 and do ministry. But if you are in a for-profit business, you are exchanging valuable services or valuable products in exchange for something that is 6 inches long and green, money. You're exchanging value for value, and that value for value exchange is a kingdom principle. Okay. So when I quit my job in 2016, I believe it was September 2016, I quit my job. I took a little bit time off because I had to. I ended up having to have major surgery right after I quit my job. And so October is considered my real launch date for my business, which means I've been in business 7 years, legally 10 years, but 7 years hit the mark where all I was going to rely upon was the business income. Okay. So this is where I'm at. So that's my workplace exit strategy. It took me 3 years, should have only taken me a year to quit that job. But because I was scared and I was afraid, it took me 3 years. Okay. Now, what was my biggest mistake that I made when I transitioned out of corporate? The biggest mistake I made was, guess what? DIY, do it yourself. I literally had an entire year's, hey, Robin, it's good to see you. I hadn't seen you in forever. Robin, she's the first person to make me a professional painter. She bought one of my paintings because, yes, I do acrylic painting. And she purchased one of my paintings that I put on Facebook. So people who say you can't sell nothing on Facebook or in social media, they lying to you. You can. It's good to see you, Robin. I'm gonna have to get with you. I'm thinking about doing a planner. So please, let's connect soon. And with that being said, I left corporate with only my house note and my son's car note. And the reason why I didn't pay off my son's car note because they had 0% finance, 0% interest. So I was like, what's the point? And that's all. So I had no debt except for my house and my son's car. And I had a year's worth of income, not savings, a year's worth of pay sitting in a bank account. And guess what my biggest mistake was? DIY. I refuse. When I tell you I'm clenching on that money, I can't let it go because I don't know when some more money's coming. And so I got to hold on to the savings account. Now I got 401ks and stocks. We're talking about money for the business. Okay. So I had a year's worth of income in my savings account when I quit my job in October of 2016. Okay. And went into my business. And I refused to invest in someone to help me with my business. So I had a year's salary in the bank, refused to invest in a coach to help me scale my business. And therefore, it took me twice as long to get to six figures than it would have taken me had I hired my coach early on. But I was so busy hoarding money that I shouldn't do that no more. But I was so busy hoarding money that I did not make my money a slave to my business. I did not invest my money so that my money can make more money for me. And this is a mistake lots of people make. And I get it because I was scared. I'm a single mom. Remember, I told you, I'm a single mom. I have no support. I don't have a big brother who's going to come and rescue me. I don't have a dad who's coming to rescue me. There's nobody coming to rescue Brenda Underwood. If Jesus don't rescue me, ain't nobody coming to rescue me. Okay. So I refuse to invest in a coach. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. So I started looking at coaches online. So I'm one of those people. I'm feeding on free. I'm getting all the free content I can get because I'm not going to touch that year's salary that's sitting in the bank. I'm not going to touch it to grow my business. So I'm just going to feed on free. Feeding on free is very expensive because people are only going to give you so much for free before eventually you got to invest in the stuff that really makes the difference. Okay. And so that's one. And then the other thing that was going through my head was like, oh, I can learn this YouTube books. I can do it myself. Well, when I met with my first coach, in a consult, I didn't hire her until 3 years later. When I met with the first coach, and I met her like right when I left my job, and I did her discovery call, she told me that her coaching program was $6,000. I had never heard numbers like that. I ain't never heard numbers like that to hire a coach. I didn't know that coaches charge that much. And I was like, $6,000? I told her, we're friends now. I said, girl, when I got off that discovery call with you, I was nice and I was sweet. And I was like, okay, well, let me think about it. I'll let you know. But I was offended when I got off that call. I was mad. I was like, this shit, I can go buy a hoopty. Now, this is way back 7 years ago now. Cars cost a whole lot more now. I can go buy a hoopty for $6,000. I am not getting ready to pay a coach $6,000 to help me get to six figures. 3 years later, I called that same coach back and I hired her. And guess what? By the time I was done working with her for 90 days, I started having 5-figure days, not 5-figure months, 5-figure days. Now, I get to that end of that year, and guess what I hit? 6 figures. The job of a coach, a good coach, because anybody can call themselves a coach, but a good coach that knows what they're doing, the job of theirs is to get you to your finish line faster than you could on your own. DIY is the most expensive way to go because you are spending the most valuable currency you have. And that most valuable currency is your time. I can go make another $5,000. I can't go make another 5 hours. So when we DIY stuff, we are wasting time and therefore we're wasting the result. I'll give you another example. My son wanted to do swing trading. And so hopefully he ain't gonna get mad I say this. So if this live disappears, he got ticked off at his mama. But my son wanted to do swing trading. And so we started looking into it. I had already been doing a little bit of swing trading. You know, I made a little bit of money. I was like, whoa, this could be good. But it's addictive for me because I'm a real big numbers person. And so my purpose is coaching. My purpose is not swing trading, but I wanted to support my son and what he wanted to do. So we were DIYing it and sharing content. And Devin was like, Mom, I really want to invest in this. And I'm going to tell you the dollar amount. $20,000 coaching program to teach me how to trade. And I was like, whew, 20 grand. Okay. But instead of looking at the risk cost, we looked at the risk benefit. That's what many people don't do when they're looking at the price of hiring a coach. And so we made the investment for him to get the coach and the trade material for him to learn how to swing trade. And he quit his job and now he's a full-time swing trader. I say it was worth the investment. But if I had got caught at the $20,000 pay tag, then he would have never been able to walk in what he feels like his calling is. Okay. And so with that being said, look at the risk benefit, not just the cost of the risk. What are you going to yield on the other side of it? And how much? And his thing was, Mom, it's a scarcity mentality to sit and think, oh, well, I can piecemeal it together and waste a whole bunch of time when I could literally get a system from a group of traders that are making 6 and 7 figures in trading to show me how it works. And I was just so, I looked at my son. People, if you follow me, you know, I say he is mercy and grace walking around my house. He teaches me so much. And so we agreed, we did it, we split it. You know, he paid half, I paid half. And so we move forward. But that is a glimpse into understanding the cost of DIY. It is expensive to do it yourself in certain aspects. Now, look, if you need your light bulbs changed at your house, girl, go down to Home Depot, get them light bulbs, get you a good ladder that can hold your weight and go change your light bulbs. But when you're looking at scaling your business to 6 and 7 figures, get someone who knows what they're doing and have done it to some extent. And if they haven't done it, they can at least show you how not to do it. Okay. But with that being said, when we're out here and we're hiring people, we also have to vet our vendors. So mistake number 1 was fear cost me 3 years in my business. Mistake number 2 is doing it myself cost me another 3 years to get to 6 figures. Now, imagine had I not let fear dictate my actions and move forward when God told me to move. So I not only was fearful, but disobedience. Anytime you are operating and letting fear dictate your actions, you are being disobedient, but we ain't getting into that today. And so the second thing is, where would I have been if I have quit my job in 2013 instead of in 2016? Where would I have been if I had taken that 1 year that was sitting in the bank? Where would I have been had I taken just $6,000 out of that $150,000 sitting in the bank and invested $6,000 in a coach that can help me get out of my own way and utilize what I already knew and teach me some new skills that I could use, help me get my vision crystal clear, help me get my ideal client crystal clear, help me to get the things that I need to get done in a systematic, consistent way so that I could reach 6 figures. What if I would be at 7 figures now instead of just at 6. And so I want you to learn from that. Okay. You don't have to hire me, but hire somebody who can get you there. Now, when you go to hiring someone, then it comes down to vetting your vendors. Okay. Fortunately for me, I worked for a company when I was 19 years old called Unisource Worldwide. They have been bought out years ago, so they no longer exist. I don't believe they do. And they sent me to school for negotiation. and they taught me how to negotiate with vendors. And so my vendors were Reynolds and Mobile and Union 76 and 3M. And so they taught me how to negotiate. So I know how to negotiate with vendors. I'm pretty good when it comes to negotiation because of the investment that Unisource made in me, as well as I am pretty good with vetting vendors. And so what do I mean by vetting vendors? I have a blog on my website that says life coach or specialty coach, and I talk about vetting a coach specifically. But we're going to talk about just vetting vendors, because when you go into business for yourself, there's going to be areas that you're going to need to hire people for: technology, website, variety of different things. And you want to be able to vet your vendors. And so one of the things that my third mistake was, I lost a lot of money I didn't want to pay for a coach, but I did pay for someone to do technical work for me. And the reason being was because technology was not my strength. I am a computer user. I'm not a computer programmer, coding. I don't do any of that stuff. I click buttons. If I click the button and it don't work, I'm calling somebody. That's how I've always worked in corporate, because I always had teams working around me. Well, long story short, technology is not my thing. At that time, I didn't know how to code. I didn't know how to do any back. If something broke, I had no clue. So I hired people. Well, the cost of I don't know and I refuse to learn cost me $30,000, y'all. I had a guy, he was supposed to do what was an equivalent of 30 minutes worth of work. He charged me $750 for it because I didn't know it would only take 30 minutes. But if I had just done a little bit of research, a little bit of R&D, research and development, a little bit, then I would have learned that what I was asking for doesn't take that long, and I shouldn't have to pay $750 for him to do 30 minutes worth of work. So it cost me to not know something and refuse to learn something about it. And so fortunately for me, I'm better with technology now. I can code my own pages on my website. I mean, there's a variety of different things that I can do myself, but I do pay someone who I used to work with, who I knew was good. Let me tell you, I'm about to brag on this boy right here. He's going to get mad because he don't have the bandwidth to take new clients. But Josh Miriam, homeboy, is the bomb.diggity.com. He is a web developer, he is a web designer, and he is good at SEO, and he's good at technical stuff on the back end. Most people can't do all of those. They say they can, but they can't. But because I worked with him, I knew that he could perform. And so when he stopped working at my previous employer, I reached out to him and said, hey, can we talk and have lunch? And so we worked through some things, and he came on board and he decided to support me. So I knew that he knew what he was doing and that he wasn't going to overcharge me, because I personally believe that Josh believes in the vision of my business. And we have now been working together for multiple years. I mean, he's just a part of my P&L. It's automatic. I'm going to pay Josh because I can pick him up. He created the logo for my podcast. He created the artwork for my podcast. You know, I can call him, and on a dime, I know he's going to give me quality, good work, y'all. So you got to vet your vendors. The Bible says you should know those that labor among you. The Bible also says that you should consult wise counsel. Okay. And so we are not designed to win at life or win at business in a cocoon all by ourselves. But the DIY mentality, the I'm going to feed on free mentality, says that you do that. But a kingdom mentality says I have wise counsel around me. So you need to be, if you're thinking about leaving your job, you need to identify, who do I know in the industry that does a good job in the particular industries you're going to need help from? IT, software, website, logo creation, all of that different stuff. Who do you know that's good at that? Or do you have to go find someone who's good at that? Okay. So you want to start thinking about that before you even quit your job, because you're going to need support. One of the big mistakes that I made in leaving corporate is I underestimated the power of team. I'm thinking, I have worked for CEOs, direct report to CEOs for a good portion of my career. I knew how to run a business. I'd had P&L responsibility. And if you don't know what P&L is, my first set of student loans is in accounting. So I forget that some people don't know the accounting terms. So I do my own books because that's my first love is accounting. But P&L means profit and loss statement. And so I had run it. So I thought, I know how to run a business. I know how to run a business. But this is the danger. You don't know what you don't know. And I did not realize how much I lost without having a team of marketing people, a team of salespeople, a team of people to help support me. That was one of my biggest underestimation. I underestimated that. And so knowing the power of team means that you're constantly looking for good talent. You don't have to always hire the talent as a W-2, but you may want to get a vendor and have them as a vendor that you utilize the skill. Josh works a full-time job, but he helps me out on the side for a monthly fee. And so the power of team is very important. You want to look for good talent. You want to identify good people. The young lady that I brought on as my sales assistant, she is phenomenal. Priscilla is thebomb.com. That woman is magic on the phone. Okay. I have literally started telemarketing departments for different Fortune 500 companies in my career. And I know that trying to train someone to be able to feed and read off of a prospect's subliminal tales is hard to train. You can train it, but it's hard to train. But she came with a natural ability with it. The moment I heard her, she was working another job, and I heard her on the phone with one of her prospects, I said, I got to have her. I got to have her working in sales because she brings a talent that is hard for me to teach. So you want to be looking for team. You don't want to be ignorant in hiring people. You need to learn a little bit of something about every category that you need to hire people with. When I work with my business owners, I have life sheets that I use with my clients. And one of the life sheets is the wheel of competency. So where are you competent? Where are you not competent? Where do you need to learn so you can get a level of competency so you can hire somebody else to do it and not get ripped off? I got ripped off. 3 technical companies have ripped me off $30,000 in the tenure of my business. That's costly when you first start. Don't make that mistake. Vet your vendors. So what do I mean by vet your vendors? Vet your vendors first. Learn a little bit about what you're hiring them to do. Learn a little bit about the industry cost for what you're hiring them to do. And then I want to talk to references. I want to see your previous work. How long have you been in business? Like I was going to hire a VA from Toastmasters, but when I reached out to her, she wouldn't take a phone call from me. She wouldn't talk to me. She only well, email me what you want me to do and I'll email you back. Well, I'm not going to say nothing to that. But anyway, when I was like, I want to do business with you, I was going to hire her. All I needed her to do is get on a 10-minute conversation with me. And I had a few questions. And one of the questions I had was, how many coaches do you work with? How long have you been doing it? And is it your part-time job or is it your full-time? Because I want to know these things before I hire someone. Because if you're a one-man show and you get sick, that means that I don't have that service that I'm buying from you. Okay. And so you want to vet your vendors. You want to know who have they worked with? How long have they been doing? How many clients do they have? Okay. And you also want to know if you're hiring a coach, whether you hire me or somebody else, ask them how many clients hit the result. So there's lots of people. Oh my God, so many people out there. I can get you to 6 figures in 90 days. I can get you 6 figures in 3 months. Well, that's 90 days. I can get you to 6 figures in 6 months. Da, 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 da. Okay. They may have helped some people get to that in that time frame. Ask them the number of people, what percentage of the people who hire you actually get the result that you claim. I bet you will be surprised that most people, I'm not saying all, but a good majority of people are out there promoting what only 20% of their clientele reach, and the other 80% don't reach it. Okay. And so we move into the 4th or 5th mistake. I done lost count. The 5th mistake was, I know how to vet vendors And I went and hired a vendor, and I'm going to say their name because I don't want anybody else to get bamboozled by this organization. Marketing 360 markets themselves as a full service social media, ad campaign, content creation, variety of things that they do for you. They are a one-stop shop. And let me tell you, the dream that they sell you is beautiful, but it's a pipe dream. That was a $20,000 mistake. One company, $20,000 mistake. And what was my lesson from that? I did vet them. And my business partner told me, don't hire them. Wait a minute, not just my business partner, my admin assistant also said, Brenda, don't get them. But nobody else was offering what they offered, at least in my purview. No one else was offering that one-stop shop. And this is the thing. In order for me to get to the place where I have 25 coaches working at Breakthrough for Life, not having to do the marketing, my company doing all of the marketing, and them just seeing clients in different specialties, I have got to get my marketing ramped up. Now, my marketing's good enough now for me to live nice. But all the hustle you see me do, all the grinding you see me doing, it's so that I can get to the place where I'm hiring coaches that work as W-2 staff, and all they do is make sure that my clients get the result by coaching them one-on-one. And then I just will coach, probably just keep my celebrity clients that I coach or my leadership clients, but I will just coach a handful of people once I get to 25 coaches on staff, W-2 coaches, right? Not 1099. And so I hired them because they could get me to where I wanted to go if they actually delivered. So when I asked you to ask people that you're looking to hire, what percentage of your clients reach that goal? It's because it cost me $20,000, beloved. $20K at a time that I didn't have $20K to give somebody. And so the reason why my business partner is my business partner is because when I hit year 3, the money was gone. The marketing was and I wasn't keeping enough coming in to make sure everything was covered. And so I had to go, and I went to my son and I said, I need you to invest in the business. And he paid into the business. I thought he was going to faint when he paid into the business, because when he pulled the money out, he said, do you know how much money this could be my college tuition, Ma. I'm like, you're going to get it back. And so he invested in my business because I was hard-headed. I didn't want to hire anybody. And the area where I would hire people, I refused to get educated on what they were doing so that they would not overcharge me. And I don't want other people to make that mistake. A coaching business doesn't have a lot of overhead. You don't need to go get loans and grants and all that stuff to run a coaching business. You can, but you don't need to. And so I made this mistake getting Marketing 360. By the time that they let me out of the contract, which is about 11 months in, they only gave me 1 month off. I had 47 tech support tickets because their CRM did not work at all. None of the modules. And the only thing you can do is put a contact in it. And I was like, that's part of the reason why I hired you guys, so I can keep track of the leads that are coming in and And so me and Marketing 360 had a very horrible breakup. And if I had the bandwidth and time, I had said I was going to do a whole smear campaign on them. But that would have been me taking vengeance, and I'm not taking vengeance, but I am educating you that this particular company do not buy into the pipe dream. And they're not the only company that does pipe dreams. There's a lot of companies out there that sell you the dream and then don't deliver. And I don't want you to do that. So let me give you another example. I am right now in the process of interviewing executive coaches so that I can hire a coach. I hire a coach every year. Well, Brenda, why do you hire a coach? You should know everything if you're a coach. First off, that's a very ignorant statement. A leader needs a leader. A pastor needs a pastor. A therapist needs a therapist. And a coach needs a coach. And so I hire a coach every year. It's been a practice of mine to hire a coach every year to help me get out of my own way. Because we all have barriers. The only people that don't have problems are dead people. Now, I thought I had gotten past my fear of rejection because you see, I'm out here and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. I've got past my fear of inadequacy because I've got 90 or 80 or 90 testimonies on there. I think I kind of know what I'm doing. Okay. I've gotten past the fear of the unknown because I just said, I'm going to trust you, God. You called me to it. And you told me when you brought me out of corporate, are the hands of man more secure than the hands of God? So I trust the hands of God. And so I got rid of fear of failure, fear of inadequacy, fear of rejection. Guess what? In a coaching relationship is when I found out that I had the fear of success. I'm like, really? Another one? I got to go slay. And so every time you see a podcast, the podcast is relaunching in October for my 10-year anniversary. And every time you see a podcast come out, know that this is Brenda Underwood facing off with fear. I was scared of success. I got an opportunity to do a big podcast for a big network, and I turned it down. And it was my coach that said, Brenda, you got a fear of success, honey. And she didn't say that because coaches don't point it out. They pull it out. She pulled it out of me. And I was like, I got a fear of success. Unbelievable. I didn't know that. And so we start to work on it. Okay. The Bible says that we are transformed from glory to glory. So there's layers to all of us. And we all need help because God is a relational God. He is not an isolation God. God works through relationships. There's somebody that you need to connect with to get to your next level, and God will strategically place them there. I love what Pastor Jensen's book, Right People, Right Place, Right Time. Those three things are important. And there are going to be people that God will place in your life to help you pivot to the next of whatever it is you're doing. My coaches that I've used have been that for me. My attorney has been that for me. One of my good prayer partners, she's been that for me. You cannot get a successful business in a cocoon. You need a team. You need relationship. You need leadership. Okay. So with that being said, lots of mistakes made. I think I have counted up 6 years wasted and a good $50,000 just flushed down the toilet. And those mistakes was DIY, trying to do everything myself. The area that I didn't know anything about, technology, instead of learning something about it, I just hired people and they took advantage of me. And then the third one was hiring Marketing 360 and not listening to my wise counsel that told me, do not hire that company because they have horrible reviews. They got a lot of good reviews, but they had some very bad reviews. And my son told me, don't do that. He helps me vet every vendor I hire. He was like, don't do it. I did it anyway. And fortunately for me, he hasn't picked up this trait from me where he's like, I told you so. He didn't do I told you so. He just said, what do we need to do to rectify this problem? Okay. And so those are my tips to you. So the breakthrough for life tips are DIY is expensive. Ignorance is expensive. Ignoring wise counsel is expensive. So what do you need to do? Vet your vendors. Surround yourself with good, capable people that are smarter than you. Show up ready to invest in your business. That's the biggest mistake I made. I would have been at 6 figures in 1 year had I just hired a coach. Just took a little bit of my money in savings and hired a coach. And do the work. The last bit I'm going to leave with you isn't a mistake that I've made. It's a mistake that many entrepreneurs make. They put in part-time hours and expect full-time pay. I love the book 4-Hour Workweek. I got a lot of great tools out of it. But baby girl, let me tell you something. If you work part-time hours, you're going to get part-time pay. Set your work schedule. I have a work schedule. I'm not going to pull it all the way up because I don't want y'all to see the intimate details on here. But do you see this? This is my work schedule. Okay. I work 5 days a week. I believe in work-life balance. Okay. So I'm off on Sunday and Monday. And one of the things about this schedule, it gives me a framework of where I'm supposed to spend my time. It also makes me accountable to show up for work. The reason why we make really good money when we're working a job is because we have structure. We make good money working a job because we have a work schedule. We make good money while working a job because we have a boss overseeing us to make sure we hit our goals, objectives, and KPIs. But when you become an entrepreneur, you don't have that anymore. So you have to create that infrastructure for yourself. You have to create your accountability structure for yourself. You need to be able to be accountable to yourself. Keep your word to you. Come to work. And when I first started my business, I was really strict about my schedule. Now that my business kind of flows and we got passive streams of income, we got a couple of different things going on in the business. I don't keep it as hard as I used to keep it when I started out year 1. Year 10, I may take half day Tuesday off. I might. But my clients don't hurt and the business doesn't hurt because of it. But when I started my business, I needed that structure. Okay. So if you're a new entrepreneur, one of my biggest things to you is this. You have 24 hours in a day, 8 hours you sleep, 8 hours you work, and 8 hours you do life. So if you are full-time on a job, you're going to need to take that third 8 hours of doing life, and you're going to need to splice that up and decide how much of the 8 hours of life. And 8 hours of life is getting ready for work, commuting to work, talking with your kids, cooking dinner, spending time with your mate, all that stuff. So out of the life 8 hours, you need to stop and say, how many of these 8 hours am I going to give to my business? So I'm going to work. When I worked in corporate, I worked 2 hours a week, 2 hours a night, 5 days a week on my business. 10 hours a week is all I worked in my business to eventually quit my job. And I went from making my job optional to making my job obsolete. And so with that being said, set you a schedule, be committed to that schedule like you are getting paid on a job. Okay. So one of the tools that I actually do with my clients, I'm going to give you this and then I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy your Saturday. I ask my clients, how many hours do you want? I mean, how much money do you want to make in your business? And so let's say you want $100,000 business. You want to, and we're talking revenue, not income. You know, I do the math for income too with them, but for this live, I'm only going to do the top level. So let's say you want to make $100,000 in your business. And let me just say this, $100,000 don't go as far as it used to these days. So you take $100,000, you're going to divide $100,000 by 52 weeks. So in essence, you need to make $1,923.07 per week in your business in order for you to get to $100,000 in revenue for a year. Okay. Remember, math and me, we get along real well. Accounting is my first set of student loans. And so I love accounting. So we're just going to round that up to $2,000. So now we know how much money we need to make a week. Then I asked them, how many hours are you willing to pay forward and put in the work now so you can get the pay later? Because launching a business is delayed gratification. You're going to sow and sacrifice on the front end so that you can get fruit from your work on the back end, okay? And so let's say you say, okay, I'm going to work 30 hours a week at like a part-time job. Okay, so great. So we're going to take $2,000 and we're going to divide that by 30 hours. That's $67 an hour. So what I tell my clients to do is write down you make $67 an hour. And every hour that you work on your business while you're working your full-time job, I want you to count it as $67 that you're paying forward into client revenue, okay, with time. And that helps people be accountable to treat their time and their schedule with the priority to build their business dream. So I hope this probably wasn't the fun and sexy type live that you guys were hoping to hear, or hopefully I do usually, but this was don't make these mistakes. And Get serious about your work schedule and stick to it. Keep your word to you. Keep your word to you like you keep your word to everybody else, and you will see your business grow and thrive. And the whole goal of a winning workplace exit strategy is for you to get to a place where you can make your own schedule and you can make money based on your terms. And so, what does that mean, Brenda? I believe in having an autonomy of time and an autonomy of resources. I want to work my own schedule, and I want to be able to make what is going to be necessary for my quality of life. If you need to go and get an extra $5,000 from your job, I'd like to see you go in and ask. Thank you so much, Glenda. I'd like to see you go in and ask your boss, give me an extra $10,000 in the next 30 days. They gonna laugh you up out of them. They may put you on the hit list. Next time we got layoffs, lay her off. Okay. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you know what it takes to create the quality of life that you want. And then you want to create a business that gives a service to other people where they will give you a value back. And if I literally need to make an extra $10,000 in 30 days, I'm going to tell you honestly, I got 1,000 people on my email list. I just need to hit that email list and start making phone calls. Yep, I do old-fashioned phone calls. I follow up on my leads. There is a fortune in the follow-up. That's why you really need to have a CRM. Oh, that was another mistake. I did an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of all my prospects. Nightmare. Can you say nightmare? Nightmare. And so I transitioned and I created, because I used to create databases when I worked for Marshall and Swift, which was a publishing company. They taught me how to create databases. So I created an Microsoft Access. Don't laugh at me, y'all. Don't laugh at me. A Microsoft Access database to keep my leads in. That thing was as clunky as the day was long. And now we have finally transitioned over to Zoho. If you're interested in Zoho, I'm an affiliate with them. Definitely just became an affiliate with them. Definitely let me know and I'll get you hooked up so you can get a discount. But I love ZOHO. I've been with them now about 9 months. They are phenomenal. Have a CRM to keep track of all your leads. There is a fortune in the follow-up. So if I need a $10,000 increase in what I usually bring in the organization, I just need to hammer the phones a little bit harder. I just need to market a little bit stronger. I may need to dial in my offer a little bit better. I may need to get my marketing language a little bit stronger so that it resonates with my ideal client, and my ideal client will pick up the phone and call me. I may need to run an ad. And I run an ad, I bring in an extra client and give myself a $10,000 pay increase in 30 days. I have done it before. Last year in July, I went to Greece. I had the biggest month of my entire organization's history last June because I knew I was going to Greece and I don't like to travel like I'm broke. Okay. And so I'm telling you, with going into entrepreneurship, you're going to need to work hard and smart, but you can have autonomy over your time and autonomy over your money. And that's what I believe that Christ died for us to have: freedom. Be free. Be free to have options. Be free to move. Be free to spend time to take care of your mother if she gets sick and needs and had to have surgery. Be free to be with your child at their graduation. Be free to go to all of those senior events with them and pay for whatever it is that you feel like you need to pay for them. Be free to do that without the handcuffs of corporate. Okay. And so I hope that this has been helpful for you. And the last little bit is I will be back next week. And next week we will still be talking about I want to quit my job. So I'm going to be still giving out some more information on how to quit your job. And then we're also going to talk about, I do corporate leadership training as well. We're going to kind of talk about the integrity of the employee with the corporation and the corporation to the employee, because this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Corporations and companies cannot function without staff. And the world economy does not function without corporations. So we need each other. It's a marriage, y'all. We need each other. You need to be a good, pliable employee that does what they say they're going to do on the job. And the corporation needs to care about the staff enough to not overload them with so much work that they have to work 70, 80 hours a week just to keep up with their KPIs, because we all need work-life balance. So that is my to-do today. I will see you guys back here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometime around there. I'm going to try to always come around the 3 o'clock hour. You can always come back, check it out on my YouTube channel, Breakthrough with Brenda. Check it out on my Breakthrough for Life page. You can check me out anywhere except for Instagram. I don't do any lives on Instagram right now because honestly, they require certain things when you go live with them, and I can't go live on the StreamYard platform on Instagram. So I don't know who this Facebook user is. They're in my Winning Life group. Go join my Winning Life group. We are literally about to ramp that group up. I'm about to drop some serious gems in the Winning Life Facebook group like I used to when I first launched it, okay? And so thank you for the user. It's been very helpful. Where do you get the funds to get started? Where did I get the funds to get started? Go back and listen to the beginning of this live, and I talk about how I got the money to do my business. But I'm gonna tell you now, Breakthrough for Life has no loans to a bank. I did not take loans. I didn't do grants. The way I get money for my business is I started selling value and people started paying me. And so we'll talk about that in greater detail in another live, but this is my main thing. And I think I talked about it in my last live, running out and going to get a whole bunch of loans from institutions and people to launch your business, depending on the kind of business you have. Now, if you have brick and mortar and you have a product, service, and an inventory line, you definitely, hey, Latanza, you definitely need to get some financial investing, or you need to try to create passive streams of income that can feed your business, and you work your intangibles while you have a job, so that when you quit your job, you transition from a paycheck to a profit check. So now she told me her name is Latanza. It's Latanza who asked the question, how do you get started? Since I know Latanza's particular business is a home care business, there's lots of grants out there for home care. And so you want to start Googling for grants. I prefer grants over loans because grants you don't have to pay back. But the thing with grants is they're going to put some more handcuffs on you. They're going to tell you, based on what you submit the grant for, you better do what they told you to do with those grants. So you got the IRS all up in your business all the time, and you got some guidelines that you have to adhere to for that grant money. So when you're looking at doing a home care business, you're going to want to look at that grant money. You may want to go and look at SBA.gov and see what their new business loans are. But understand, don't go out there and get that new business loan before you have a marketing strategy, because those loan payments are going to become due. And if you don't know how you're going to make money in your business, then how do you pay that loan back? And then it becomes another burden of debt on you because you haven't gotten the first thing done first. Who's your ideal client? What is the problem that they have? And how do you service that problem? And is it the problem that they're willing to pay money for you to help them solve? Okay. And so you want to make sure. I have another client who I've got 4 clients that run home care businesses. And one of my clients that runs a home care businesses, she focuses on people who are marginalized income. And I said, okay, that's great. I love it. I love your heart to serve. But this is what you have to do. When you're servicing a marginalized population, you have to have some for-profit type clientele or business or service to fund the marginalized services that you give to the marginalized profit areas. And so what does that look like? The best way that I can explain that to you is this. I have helped a for-profit business open a nonprofit business, and the for-profit business funded the nonprofit business. Okay. And so when you're looking at getting funds, first, get your marketing together. How are you going to make money in your business? Know that and know that it works. And then go out and get grants and get loans. And you know what? For me, when I really need to get some money, I'll probably get a private investor because I don't like handcuffs. I don't like folks telling me what I do in my business. It's like I don't like having an HOA. You gonna tell me what color I bought? I gotta paint my house, and I bought my house. I'm supposed to own this property, and I can't even paint my shutters red. Are you smoking crack? I'm not gonna go. I'm not the personality type to go and get more handcuffs. That's just not me. I'd rather have a strong marketing strategy and run strong with that marketing strategy and get more clients that are paying me value for value. Okay, so hopefully that helps. This is Coach BU, Brenda Underwood, here to help you win at life, craft a winning workplace exit strategy, and be a go-getter that is living and walking in the promises of God for your life. Glenda, thank you so much for coming, and thank you all for who have joined. Hopefully you'll go back and listen to this. We dropped a lot of gems, shared a lot of mistakes, but thank you, Jesus. I'm on the other side of that. And I hope before the end of this year, I will be hiring my first few full-time coaches. Don't send me your application unless you went through the Breakthrough for Life certification program. I don't hire coaches outside of my program. But if you went through Breakthrough for Life and you're looking for a job, give me a ring. Let me know what's going on in your world, and we may be able to work something out. This is Brenda Underwood, Coach BU, signing off. Be blessed and be peace. Be at peace in all that you do. Peace.